come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por
We
favor,
invite you, if
manténganse
you
alejados
dare,
de las
to
puertas.
visit tonight's episode in Twista, indiscreet travel doorless chambers.
Hello and welcome to Miles from Main Street, your Far From Disney podcast. My name is Mykhailo.
And I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about Disney World,
But especially coping away from Disney.
which we know a lot about being from the Midwest. Here at Miles from Main Street, our preferred travel agency is Magical Vacations by Kimberly. Kimberly is a Disney expert and can handle all of your Disney planning needs. She can also plan Universal and all major cruise lines. Contact Kimberly at magicalvacationsbykimberly@yahoo.com.
And find her on Facebook and Instagram under Magical Vacations by Kimberly.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are planning a trip. This is going to be my most recent trip to Disney. I'm going to be going there around February, and I've got lots of planning still to do, and we're going to kind of talk through a lot of that. We're also going to talk through a typical way we would usually plan trips pre-COVID. So we'll give you guys some good info on how to plan a trip and some of the things that we like to do when we're planning trips. So Brian used to be a travel agent. Brian, why don't you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, so I've spent a lot of time helping people plan their trips, and it's a lot of fun to do for me. It can be a daunting task, especially for somebody that hasn't been there yet, just to pick up all the ins and outs that you need to know when you're going down there. As far as dining reservations, unfortunately, you need them. Fast pass reservations, yes, you want to use them. It can be quite a task. And then they've got over 36,000 rooms. So where are you going to stay? You got to talk through that. So it can be a big task to undertake when you're planning a trip. So I had done that a lot, thought I'd take a look at being a travel agent for a little while. And it was fun helping people. I think if anyone that wants to take a jump into it, try to have a set of clients that you're ready to hit up before you're going to even get started, and be ready for the, hey, will you look at this? And you give them all the information, and then you never hear from them again. That was one of the big things that I was having trouble with. So just some of the ups and downs of travel agency, I think. But yeah, it was a good time, and hopefully I can share some of that knowledge with you as we go through this.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I know I'm going to be leaning on you a little bit with some of the last minute things I have to do. And I know you have a pretty good knowledge base there already. So one of the things I like to start out with is, where are you going to stay? Most of the time when I'm planning a Disney trip, I like to tell everybody when they're planning Disney trips is stay on property. That's a big thing that I preach, just being able to stay on property and all the amazing perks that you get, and the transportation. It's all just so great, and you really feel like you don't really have to worry about anything like that. Disney's kind of giving it all to you. So I've always preached that, and I've actually made the decision for this coming trip not to stay off property, and this is actually the first time I've done that. But I'm staying in the Disney Springs area. There's a whole bunch of resorts just kind of like across the street from Disney Springs. We're going to be staying at one of those resorts, and for me, the big reason for that was this is going to be kind of like a shorter trip, mainly because of COVID and everything. And we're really not going to be staying at the hotel and using it as like a resort. It's really going to be more of like a bed. I do that a lot already with Disney, just with how much I do at Disney. But this trip, it's going to be exaggerated a lot. The idea is that we're going to be hanging out at Disney Springs a lot. We're going to be hanging out at the parks a lot and just kind of trying to suck all the magic we can out of this vacation while we're there.
And I think that's something that you really need to consider when you're taking a trip. How much are you going to spend in your room?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I've overlooked in the past. How much are we going to actually be in the room? The last trip I took with just my wife and I, we wanted to stay at a nicer place, but when it really came down to it, we're just going to be sleeping there.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we need a nicer room? So something to really think about.
Yeah, and I've debated some things like staycations and stuff like that, and that's when I would really kind of upgrade that room. But at this point, going into the parks and enjoying Disney Springs, those are the things that we're looking to do on this trip. So a Disney Springs hotel definitely looks like the correct option for me this time, and it's just something I've never really done. I've never stayed off property and went and enjoyed Disney. We're still going to do some resort tours and stuff like that. Of course, whenever you go to Disney, you want to go around and experience all the other resorts. So we'll kind of get our Disney resort fix that way. So we're really happy to kind of be saving money, but also being close enough to the magic that we're still kind of a part of it. And it's not going to be too terribly difficult to navigate Disney and be able to get around to all the parks and everything. And that kind of comes down to having the Disney transportation right there.
And in recent years, they've been making a lot of these off-property hotels, good neighbor hotels,
Mm-hmm.
which means that they were extending a lot of the on-property benefits to those hotels. And that was prior to the closure. So I don't know what kind of things are happening with that. I think park reservations are a little more difficult when you're off property. So you're going to need to worry about that and get those taken care of as soon as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the resorts though off property. We're getting a lot of good reviews I was seeing, and I think when you're realizing that you're just looking for a bed and you can get a hotel near where you're going to be ending your day anyway, go for it. Save
Definitely.
the money.
Yeah, and that was definitely one of the things that we were doing for this trip. So it made a lot of sense to stay off property with that. So the next thing that I like to focus on when I'm planning a trip are the parks and tickets. For a long time when I was younger and I was going to the parks, I was really into park hopping. And I think that's because I had never really experienced a park for a whole day. I had always kind of gotten to the parks late and hit a couple rides and thought I was done with the park. And that's just young me and my family and kind of how we always did things is we did things on the fly and we just kind of showed up and did our thing. And it was a lot easier to do that back in the day with Disney. It was easier to just kind of show up and enjoy Disney on a whim. But now that there's a lot more planning involved and a lot more scheduling, you really kind of want to enjoy a whole park in an entire day. That's not to say that park hopping is bad now and that it's impossible, because it's definitely possible. It's just not something that I am looking to do anymore with the type of vacations that I'm taking. Park hopping for me would be really great if I had several days and some of those days were spent just kind of like hitting things that I wanted to do. So park hopping would make a lot of sense for that. But when we only have a certain number of days to go to the parks, scheduling everything into one park definitely makes a lot more sense. That's, to me, this is also a very personal thing. For me, I the last time we went to Disney, I literally scheduled everything within the hour, and my parents hated it because they love to just kind of go and enjoy things and do it all on their time, which is great, and that's what they like to do, and they have a lot of fun doing that. Which is why they like the nicer hotels, and they like to just kind of like hang out and enjoy all of those things a lot slower. Whereas me, my brother, and my sister were just running around at the parks from thing to thing, and we love that. So that's kind of why I typically try not to park hop. We considered it for this trip, possibly to get all the parks in, because we're only there for a couple days. But I had decided, actually, and this is I'm dropping a bomb here. I decided to not go to Epcot for this trip. I know.
But that's your favorite park.
It is my favorite park. But my reasoning behind that is that Epcot is way under construction right now. They still have construction walls up. I would love to see the new front of Epcot. That would be so cool, but just kind of weaving my way through all of that construction, and it's going to be so cool in a couple of years anyways, and I'd rather just kind of wait to go experience that. The only thing I'm sad about is all that amazing food back in World Showcase. That's always where I just get my foodie on super hard back there, and so it's gonna be tough not to be able to go do that, and experience all those amazing nations. But it's, I don't know, for me, it was a tough decision, obviously. But it was just something that I thought was probably a good idea. It saves money too, and we really don't have that much time on this trip to do everything we want to do. And if there's something that's kind of not quite what we thought it was going to be, like Epcot, then we might as well just kind of wait it out and wait for it to be all done to go experience it.
Yeah, if I could step back a second for the park hopping. Again, I've never really been one for park hopping either. And I think the majority of us can agree that when you're at Disney, time is money. It literally is money. And the last few trips have been trying to slow down. Like every trip, I've been trying to slow down a little bit more. And it was always, okay, I've got this all planned out to the second. We're going to be here at this time, there this time, and we're going to maximize everything we can. That wasn't something that, spending an hour to get from one park to the next is not something that I could justify in trying to maximize my time. So that's how I fall with the park hopping as well. I think it's pretty smart that you're skipping Epcot this time around. You're not missing anything you haven't seen already.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate that you won't be there. The last trip I was on, we skipped Hollywood Studios for the same exact reason that you are. It was still under construction. Toy Story Land had opened, but we figured it wasn't worth going yet. So I can see that. I can see it. Hollywood Studios is one of my favorite parks. I don't know. I have trouble ranking them, but I do love the studios, and it was hard for me to miss it. And I know that when you're there, you're gonna feel the same way. Like it's so weird not going to Epcot right now. And that's where a park hopper could come in. Some of the hours, I haven't looked at hours too much lately, but I know that they're closing a little earlier. I don't know if it'd be possible to hop over to Epcot on a certain day after a close of another park, but that's always something you could do in the past.
We had discussed possibly, of course, because this is not a just me decision. I've got two other Disney nerds behind me making these decisions with me. And we had discussed the possibility of going from Animal Kingdom to Epcot because for some reason we always kind of considered Animal Kingdom a half-day park. This was actually before Pandora opened. And so we kind of discussed it a little bit, but the last time we were there, we were in Pandora during the daytime, and at night we went over to Disney Springs. So we really want to be in Pandora at night this time. So that was kind of what we discussed, possibly doing Animal Kingdom Epcot, but we we might as well just do Animal Kingdom for a whole day, and just really maximize that park.
And Animal Kingdom is such a great all-day park now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much there. I don't blame you for wanting to do the whole thing. And Pandora is beautiful day and night. You have to do both. And that's where they've done such a great job with creating all-day parks. It's something that you need to just be there all day, and it takes away from that park hopping again.
And that's something, kind of to take us back to our favorite person, Lou, listening to a lot of his park walkthroughs. Even a small park like Magic Kingdom just has so much detail and so much going on and so many things you can go experience, that it's hard to put it all into a half a day and then go somewhere else and experience all these other things. So I've been really trying to, like you, slow down, but at the same time I'm kind of pushing us all over the park just to make sure that we get to all these things that we want to do, but at the same time kind of trying to experience everything that I want to experience, and that does include kind of slowing down and slowly walking. Oh, I love slowly walking down Main Street, and the castle just slowly gets bigger, and smelling all the smells and looking in all the shops and looking at all the names. It's just such a good way to start your vacation, which that's how we're going to do it. The vacation that we're going on, we're actually getting on a plane super early and flying out to Orlando. And the first thing we do is we're going to go straight to Magic Kingdom. And for me, that's kind of how I always start my Disney vacations, is at Magic Kingdom. It's just got all of the magic. It's just so quintessentially Disney that I just can't see starting my vacation anywhere else and just like feeling the same way that I feel about Disney with that park. So that's how I always like to do it, and I just feel like it starts my vacation off on the right foot. It just feels so perfectly Disney to me. So
It's funny. I always want to make sure. I don't know that I'm always making sure. I think we've always done a different park anytime we've left, but there have been a couple times that the last thing we've done has been at Magic Kingdom, and I'll actually turn around by the train station and kind of see you later, Mickey. And it's just one of those things that I kind of want those feelings from the Magic Kingdom to be those that I take home with me at the end. So I kind of go the other direction, I guess, but.
There was one vacation where, and on this vacation, we're doing the same thing where our last day isn't a park day. We're actually going to do, I haven't even discussed this yet with them, but they're just going to do whatever I want to do. It most of the time it happens that way because we all want to do the same thing. But we're going to be doing Downtown Disney, kind of our last little, any gifts that we want to get. And then we're going to go do some resort hopping. But there was one time at one of the vacations that we had where our last day was that same thing, where we had nothing planned. All we were doing was preparing to leave Disney, which is the saddest thing, and then getting on a flight. But our flight wasn't till later, like much later. And so I actually texted a friend and I was like, hey, do you want to get us into Magic Kingdom? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. And then just like met us the next day and let us into the park. So that was cool. And that was so we started the vacation at Magic Kingdom and we ended the vacation at Magic Kingdom. So honestly, if I had all the days I wanted, which would be like 2 weeks, give me 2 weeks at Disney until I just hate it and I need to leave. That would be so great. But if I had all the days, I'd probably do it that way, where I start at Magic Kingdom and then I end at Magic Kingdom.
2 weeks would be wonderful. That was our sentiment as when we came back from our last trip as well, is that you need 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. we had camped there and barely got to even scratch the surface of the campground.
Yeah.
And that was with a couple of days off so that we could, and we barely saw what we wanted there. So, it's like you really need a couple of weeks to get in what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're still not going to do everything. So
and that's something that I've never done. I've never been in that area of Disney, the campground area. So, and probably won't do it on this trip because it's so expansive. And I say this all the time. I've never been back there, but that's a lie because I've been to Hoop-de-Doo. But I've never been back there to like go experience it. I've always kind of gone to Hoop-de-Doo review and then left. So
it's a beautiful campground.
Yeah, that's definitely what I hear. So kind of moving on from that, I will do Magic Kingdom on the first day. Second day is going to be Animal Kingdom. Third day is Hollywood Studios. And I actually looked at the days and we're doing Hollywood Studios on a Saturday. And that kind of worries me because something that's keeping me up at night is this boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. I've watched several videos on this, on how to get it. Apparently, the way to do it is obviously be there early. Be there as early as you can. Apparently, you don't actually have to be in the parks to get the boarding pass anymore. But I mean, I'm going to be there early anyways.
You get the boarding pass now at 7 a.m. from your hotel room. The park doesn't open till 10, I think.
Okay.
So the first one starts at 7 a.m. The different things I've read, you want to be on the app about 2 minutes earlier. I would probably be on there even earlier than that, just because that's how I am, and just start refreshing as fast as you can. And the other trick is to have your friends list. So you're going to want your siblings all set up, ready to go, so that when you tap in there and you have it started, they automatically pull that. And you can skip right over that. You don't have to like pick them, because if you spend time picking them, it's gone.
Yeah. So
you would definitely want to make sure that you have that set up and you're just going as fast as you can. Even then, you may not get one.
Yeah, and to set that up, I'm gonna have to go in. Like honestly, I want to do like test runs, just to see if I can get it. Like I wish that was a thing, and that's what kind of sucks about this whole process is that like, for me, and as sad as this is to say, that park is hinging on that ride because that's like why. That's not why I'm going, but like it's why I'm kind of fast tracking this trip, because not only that, it's kind of around my birthday, so I just kind of said like let's go. But it's the thing that I really want to ride, and it's the new thing out, and I really want to be on it, and I'm sure everyone feels that same way. But it just sucks that like there's a possibility that you go there and you won't be able to ride it. That's just I will be devastated if that happens.
Well, you don't want to ruin your trip over it either. So you just got to look at it as this is a bonus if we get to do it.
But yeah, that's I've been watching videos and everything. The 7 a.m. tip. It's a good thing you said that. I mean, I probably would have figured that out anyways, eventually. But everything that I've been seeing recently has been, I think it was 10 a.m. or like it was like park open. So everything that I've been seeing has been that. So that's news to me. Um, and I think what we're gonna do. My brother just recently got the new iPhone, so we're gonna have him do it because all of our other phones are pretty old. And what I've been seeing is that it relies heavily on how decent your connection is. So a lot of people who've been showing me online how to do it consistently, they're always checking their connection, like how good their wireless connection is. And so he's got 5G. Hopefully, we can find an area that has 5G and we can go do the boarding pass there. But it's definitely a big component of what you want to have planned and kind of how you want to approach it.
Yeah, it can be a letdown, but I believe it's been 7 o'clock since a little after Thanksgiving that they started doing that. And people love it. They can just roll over, grab their phone, you know, am I going to that park today? I have the reservation set up,
Mm-hmm.
and then if they don't get it, they might do something else.
Oh yeah.
But you don't have to get there hours ahead of time so that you're in the park first. You can just log in from your hotel room, and then if you don't get one, you still have a chance at 1 o'clock from inside the park. That one you need to be inside the park.
Yeah.
So, and I like that they moved it to 1 o'clock because park hopping starts at 2 o'clock. So now we're avoiding the park hoppers.
Yeah.
So,
kind of going off of something that you had just said, when do you arrive at the park? I know I have always been somebody who likes to get up early, most of the time because I just am so excited to get there and want to get myself out there as quickly as possible. But I'm one that always enjoys getting up early and getting to the parks early. And there's a lot of upside to that. The downside, obviously, is you were up early and you have to deal with that. But a lot of these upsides are if you get there early enough and you're there for rope drop, you can either go to a ride that you know is going to have a long line, and most of the time with rope drop, some of these places, what they'll do is they'll let people in before the park actually opens and people will start queuing up. I know the last time I was at Animal Kingdom, we queued up for Flight of Passage and we were all the way back in Africa. So that can definitely happen. The good news is that the line moved fairly quickly as soon as the park opened, because they actually stop you right at the queue entrance. And so you just kind of like start funneling in pretty quick and the line feels like it's going to go pretty quick and then it stops because it's still like a 2-hour line. But another thing that you usually can take advantage of, but you can't right now because they're not doing it, is extra magic hours. And that's always great because the park opens and it's only hotel guests. And I remember when I went to Hollywood Studios, it was me and my brother, and we got there early. And pro tip, they only check the reservations for the person in the front of your group. So my brother actually wasn't a part of our hotel package, so he wasn't linked to our hotel. So if they scanned his magic band, then they wouldn't have let him in because he wasn't in the hotel. But since he was with me and they scanned my magic band, they let us both in. So pro tip, if you have somebody with you who's not a part of your hotel, just have whoever's up front be linked to your hotel. Anyways, we got there super early and we were able to ride literally all the big rides that we wanted to ride right away. We didn't go to Smuggler's Run just because that was already a 3-hour wait. But like we rode Slinky Dog Dash, we rode Tower of Terror, we rode Rock and Roller Coaster, just like in the hour and a half that we were there at Park Open. Like it was insane. Like it was so great. And not everything was a walk on, but it was like 30 minutes tops for these rides, which you don't see the rest of the day. As soon as like around 10 or 11 ish, that's kind of when people start waking up and going to the parks. And that's kind of when you see the next influx of people. But it's definitely something to consider because it felt great to be able to just do all these rides we wanted to do, like within the first couple hours we're in the parks. And then after that, like honestly, if we did them all again, actually, because we met up with our sister later. But it was fine because it was at that point it was gravy. We were going on these rides again. So if you really want to knock a bunch of those rides out right away, you can do that by getting there early.
And they letting people in early. They're definitely doing their best to avoid crowds right now. So what I've been hearing is that you might want to get there an hour before open still. They're letting people in 45 minutes, half hour before opening. They may let you on a ride, they may not. It depends on if the ride's ready to be opened, but they'll definitely get you to that area, and you may be able to get on. Now, pre-COVID is the last time I was there, but we actually did a double rope drop, I want to call it. We were lucky enough to get a fast pass for Flight of Passage on that trip. And so we got there an hour before opening. Might have been more than that even. But they started moving everybody in about a half an hour before. Might have even been more than that. My timing's in. Anyway. They walked us back towards Pandora. You get to that bridge right before you start heading into Pandora by Tiffin's and that. And so we stayed there for quite a while. And I looked at my son and I'm like, the best part about standing in this crowd is that everyone here is going for Flight of Passage. We're not. So anyway, they send us back. We walk right on to Navi River ride, Navi River journey. Anyway, we walk right on it. There's like nobody there. Everyone's standing in line for Flight of Passage. So we come off of that and I look at the app. They hadn't opened the park yet. They had started Pandora, but they hadn't opened the park yet. I said, I think we need to head over and do Expedition Everest now.
Yes.
So we head over to that direction and we get to that the entrance sign for Asia, and we get there, crowd is stopped there. Not much of a crowd either. So we rope, it's a double rope drop. We walked right on to Everest as well. And so we got those two rides knocked out before the park had really even opened yet.
Nice.
So that was great. And that's what I'm hearing nowadays too, is that they're letting people in early, and if they can get you on that ride that you want to go on, they'll get you on it, even though the park hasn't opened yet. And it all depends on how quickly the cast members can get things going in the morning. So, yeah, it's definitely worth getting there early.
Definitely, yeah, I 100% agree. And it's always cool with those little Disney things that they do. If you know Disney, you know that these park hours are actually fairly flexible. They'll close things, especially at Epcot. They'll World Showcase will close before the rest of the park, and so they'll kind of like, and they do this with a lot of the parks where they'll close the park from the back to the front, and that's just kind of their way of pushing people out. But I've been in Magic Kingdom before and watched the Kiss Goodnight, which if you don't know what the Kiss Goodnight is, it's the very last show or announcement or anything that Magic Kingdom does at the end of the night that just kind of says, we're closed. This is the end of your night. Have a great night. And it's amazing. My sister cried when she first saw it. And it's not even really that like spectacular of a thing. It's just kind of like being there and experiencing that. and kind of knowing that like this is like the end of your day and everything. It's just a great feeling. But we sat there and cried about the kiss goodnight and then turned around and shopped for another hour in Magic Kingdom. So it's they're never going to say the park is closed, get out. And so and at the same time, they're never going to, I mean, they'll stop you from coming into the park, but it's always it's all kind of fluid. So understand that. And
they gently nudge you to leave, but they don't
yeah,
make you leave.
that was probably the cool, and it was funny because Magic Kingdom closed at midnight that night, and then we shopped until 1 in the shops, and we were just dead tired, and we didn't even care because we were so jacked to be doing that.
We tried to do an open to close at Magic Kingdom one time, just my wife and and I think it opened at 8, so we were there a little bit early. Then I found out, I think the day before, that they extended park hours another hour. So they had extra magic hours going on as well that night. So I believe we were planning on being up till midnight to close the park. But because of them changing hours, extra magic hours was going until 1 in the morning. So we did not make it. We tried. But we just didn't make it. So we did see the Kiss Goodnight on our last trip. We watched the fireworks, which they're gonna come back one of these days, you know. But we saw the fireworks, and then we stood where we were for 5 minutes just to kind of let people disperse, and then we made our way to Space Mountain because it was 10 minutes to close, and as long as you're in line 5 minutes before, as long as you're in line when they close, you still get to ride. So we went straight over to Space Mountain, got in line. It was pretty much a walk on. It wasn't a very long wait, maybe 20 minutes, if that. And so we come off the ride, and I'm going, Kiss Goodnight, Kiss Goodnight. We got to see the Kiss Goodnight. And we kind of caught it from the Tomorrowland Bridge. Didn't quite get to the hub in time for it, but it was still cool. They did it half an hour later.
Yes, yep, that's what they do.
So they do it more than once. I thought they only just did it the one time, but they do it more than once. So don't get worried if you might miss it the first time. You can still try to catch it.
And I think it's the reason they do that is because that's kind of their signal to like, hey, we're closed. And it was funny because that same thing happened to us because we walked by the Kiss Goodnight at one point off to go do something else. And I don't think we realized it. And then we came back a half an hour later, and we were like right in the hub. We were sitting, just looking up at the castle, and it happened. I think we were just ready to say goodbye. We were just kind of like looking up at the castle, about to leave, and then it happened, and it was just so magical. But anyways,
well, and I think that, if I may, it kind of speaks to the attachment we have with the parks, why we're doing this podcast, why we want to stay connected. I mean, that it's just kind of, we're saying goodbye to a place that takes our money. I mean, that's how magical that place is for us.
And it's funny because it's not even we're talking about the Kiss Goodnight now for like 10 minutes. It's not even that. I said this before. It's not even that much of a spectacle. It's just kind of like how much it means to us, and like our understanding of, like, I had always heard about the Kiss Goodnight, but I had never experienced it. And just kind of being there and having my brother and sister to share with it and everything. It was great. And I mean, yeah, it keeps us coming back and keeps us connected to the parks and gives us an emotional reaction to this. And it's literally just they make an announcement and the castle sparkles.
Yeah,
That's literally what it is.
it's not like you're watching Happily Ever After again. It's just a little
Yeah.
twinkle, and but it's still awesome.
Mm-hmm. Still great. So now that we're talking about goodbyes, the flight home and flights in general. So for me, I mentioned it already. We like to have an early flight so that we get there and we're there at park open and everything. We're doing that again this year. Something cool about when you book with Disney and you book a Disney hotel is they will send you tags. And I actually just recently heard they're not doing this anymore.
Yes, they are.
It must
Magical
be,
Express.
yeah, the Magical Express, yeah, but I think it's like custom bag tags they're not sending anymore or something like that.
So let's touch on that for a second.
Mhm.
As of the first of the year, they're no longer sending the free Magic Band
Mhm.
when you have a package. And when they would send that Magic Band, they also would send a booklet of magical extras, which had some coupons and just some basic information about Disney World. They would also send a luggage tag that was nicely made. Had They kind of put the color to the color of the Magic Band that you would pick, and has a Minnie or Mickey or Goofy, somebody from the Sensational Six on there, and that was always the fun part for me was getting one of those tags. I have a pile of them sitting in a box somewhere just to keep them, and we use them on our suitcases, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to get those anymore, and I'm not surprised. They're saving money by not sending them out, so why send these anyway? It's just unfortunate.
But what you will get is a big yellow tag, which I have several on most of my luggage that I have here because I never rip them off. But what this tag indicates is that you're staying at a Disney hotel, and what Disney will do is they'll pick up your luggage from the airport and actually take it to your hotel and put it in your room. And that is great, especially for people who just want to get straight to the parks. And now with things like online check-in, like you don't even have to go to your hotel anymore before, like once you get to Florida. There's no reason for it anymore. You can just jump straight into the Magic and go straight to the parks, which is something that I've done a couple times now. So that's another big thing, especially if you're going to be packing heavy, is to put those tags on and not have to worry about picking your luggage up and taking it to the hotel and checking in and getting a room and everything. The hotel will have all your stuff. You can go out and just start enjoying Disney right away. I think
Now
that's
it
the
is
coolest
worth.
thing.
I'm sorry. It is worth noting that if you are going to use Magical Express, you do need to get on that bus, and it will take you to your hotel.
Mhm.
So you do need to do that piece of it. But when you get to that hotel, you don't even have to walk into the lobby. You can walk right over to the bus.
Yep.
Or whatever you're going to do to get to that park, and move right along. You don't need to wait for your luggage. You don't need to check in. You can do all of that online. And I also want to mention that the Magic Bands still are being used. You can still buy them. They're just not going to give them to you anymore.
Yeah. And before, I don't even know if this is a thing. Do you still get discounts on Magic Bands if you have a hotel, or is it just they're not including Magic Bands at all with hotel reservations?
Yeah, I believe you can buy them at a discount. Yeah.
Okay. I know I haven't started looking yet, but the last time we went, they give you a discount, but it's not always on the Magic Bands you want, which is kind of sad. So I think this last time I went, out of the three me, my brother, my sister, none of us liked the the magic bands that they were either giving us for free or giving us a discount on. So we just went on Shop Disney and bought the ones we wanted, and then went. Which I think I know I want a new magic bands for this trip, and I think the other two will too. So I'll be looking on Shop Disney and see if anything is cool. But it's a pretty easy process if you buy a magic band that's not tied to your hotel, because when they send it to you, all of your information is already on there. They have activated it already. It's already on your My Disney experience, and you don't have to mess with it. But it's a pretty easy process if you do buy something online, even if you buy it from, as long as it hasn't been activated yet. As if you buy it from, like, I don't know if Amazon has any, but if you buy one that's not sent to you, it's pretty easy to set this up in the My Disney experience app.
It really is, and I've bought some since our last trip. I bought one, and I wanted it attached anyway, and so I attached it, which I don't know if that was really the best thing for me to do or not, but I did it. I kind of collect them. I enjoy the artwork they have on them, but I only buy certain ones, and so we have actually bought them on our trip. We might buy them the first day when we get there, maybe the next day if we can, wherever it is that we find it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had the cast member that's ringing me up at the register. They've helped me attach it to the application on your phone. I've done it myself now. It's really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do that just to make sure that your ticket is attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're staying off property, that's about the only thing it's going to do for you.
Yeah.
Is keep your ticket on it. But when you're on property, it allows you to charge back to your room. It allows you to do a lot of different things. So I really like them. I don't know that I'm going to be able to transition to using my phone. I know that that's where they're headed. I'm hoping that they'll always keep the magic bands. They've spent all the money on the technology. They might as well. But I'm hoping that stays. I really like the magic band. I like the novelty of it. So
I'm kind of hoping, I got excited when I heard about that, because I'm kind of hoping that in the future, I can actually just have that information on my Apple Watch and use my Apple Watch as a magic band, mainly because, I mean, Mickey's already on my Apple Watch. And I actually have the bands on my Apple Watch I bought on, I think it's like Etsy somewhere. And they're actually laser engraved with Disney things. Like one side has a bunch of Disney treats, like Mickey bars and stuff like that, and then the other side has all four parks, like all four logos on it. So I think that would be cool. Not that like I dislike magic bands. I just think that would be cool, and that's always I'm always rocking two things on my wrists when I'm at the parks, because I've got my magic band and I got my Apple Watch. So
yeah, it would be nice if Disney could get together with some of these people and build something that works together, right?
Yeah. Remember when we were supposed to talk about flights?
I was just gonna say we got a little distracted and off topic. Back to flights.
Anyways, I usually try to, on my return flight, I try to make that as late as possible so that I can be doing little things here and there. Some of the things, the last minute things I want to do in my trip, usually going and seeing. I've done it before. I've seen a friend. I've done it before. I've gone into parks, and I've done it before where I've went to Disney Springs. I think this time we're going to be doing, like I said, some resort hopping and stuff like that. So, but I just love to, again, just suck as much magic as I can out of this vacation. And even on the days that you get there and the days that you leave, just trying to push those 2 times out as far as you can, so you can cram as much Orlando and Disney as you can into one vacation.
That's what I've always done too. I start as early as I can. We're usually picking up a flight at 6:30 in the morning, and we we get in by 9 or 10, and you have the day to decompress from the travel. And we don't usually do parks the first day. We'll do Disney Springs, have a nice meal, get back to the hotel room to relax. And then that last day is kind of the same thing. I get a later flight, so we can go home at a later time. I've been known to get home at 10 o'clock at night or later because I just don't want to go home yet. And so it allows you to, like you said, do those couple of things. Usually we're in Disney Springs that last day before the flight leaves, picking up some snacks to take home or something. So yeah, that's how I like to do it. Maximize your time. Why wait all day to jump on a flight and pay for a room when you're not going to be there?
Definitely. Yep. Well, that's my overview of what I'm going to be doing on my trip, and kind of an overview as to what we usually do on trips. Hopefully in the future, we can actually plan a normal non-COVID trip, and kind of get in all the things that we usually like to do with these trips. But who knows? Disney may change indefinitely in just kind of the way that we enjoy Disney. But I mean, we're always gonna find a way to enjoy Disney anyways.
Yeah, I've kind of been thrown recently because of all the changes they've had to make, and I had it down to a system. This is what you need to do first. Now we'll worry about what parks you're going to. But because of all the changes they made, it's kind of not really sure how to do this. I think all the basics are there, though. You got to figure out where you're staying. You got to figure out what parks you want to be in. They've got the added complexity of a park reservation. We didn't really touch on that. So you got to make sure you get a park reservation, and then enjoy your day. Figure out how you're going to do your day. So,
yeah. Great. So that's all we have for you guys tonight. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week on Miles from Main Street.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on iTunes and subscribe. Email us at milesfrommainstreetpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, and visit us on Facebook under Miles from Main Street. We'll be bringing more to you weekly and look forward to talking to you then.
Until next week, remember,
some live close,
but most of us don't.
So let's talk about it.